We finally are here, gentlemen. It is Monday, July 7th, and by this time next week, we will have seen Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. I just got to live another couple days. I'm so
fucking
excited. The week of hope,
People are breaking embargoes.
Couple of embargoes have been broken. I'm trying to...
What is that? Spoilers?
Well, media...
Review embargoes,
yeah. People got to see the movie. There's for big movies like this, there's usually...
There's been some leaks.
Yeah. There's usually like a firm like day that they could start giving out their stuff. Because, you know, when it comes to like review content and like movie, like you always want to be the first thing out there to get all the traffic, right?
Yeah.
And so a couple of publications have like broke the embargo early by accident. Totally not to get a bunch of traffic and clicks.
Nah, it was an accident.
Yeah.
Honest mistake.
James Gunn did say though that there's nothing in the movie that's spoilery that like would ruin your experience. So that's a good sign. But I'm still trying not to be spoiled. I want to be surprised by a lot of stuff. But James Gunn was out there this week and he's been doing some interviews. And I know Dusty's going to talk about it later when we get to the news, but I just thought it was funny. Apparently the dumbest people on earth have got an opinion already based on some of James Gunn's comments.
Bound to take the heat eventually.
Good old Fox News, and aggressively air quoting the news aspect, has gotten wind that James Gunn said Superman is about an immigrant and that this movie is political. And Fox News ran this.
It's all taken out of context. It's so dumb.
Yeah. Fox News ran this headline. James Gunn, Superman is an immigrant.
Superman is an immigrant.
But also they ran this one.
Technically.
Super
he
woke.
He needed asylum. His planet blew up.
Yeah. Then they ran this one. Super woke. Iconic hero movie to embrace pro-immigrant themes.
Super woke. That's good.
Yeah.
This is just funny. Headline.
I know.
This is.
But Jesse Waters made a joke during his broadcast or whatever. I just gotta say, out of all the fucking clown people that Fox has paraded through their network, Tucker Carlson, who was the guy that preceded him, Bill O'Reilly, Hannity, like Jesse Waters has to be the most cartoonish. Like, it's unbelievable he's a real person and people watch him. But anyway, he said he made it. He was joking, of course, but he still said it. And it was stupid that Superman's cape probably has MS-13 written on it or something.
That's good.
Yeah. So,
I like that.
Yeah, I think he said something funnier when he
Fox.
was. Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's funny to watch both Fox and CNN. It's hilarious. But he was talking when he's doing his press kit tour stuff, he was talking about 3 things he never wants to see in a superhero movie again. He's like, I don't need to see some pearls breaking in an alley in Gotham when, you know, Bruce Wayne's parents die. I don't need to see Peter Parker getting bitten by a mutant spider, and I don't need to see a spaceship carrying baby Superman to planet Earth.
James Gunn.
I've seen enough of that shit. Yeah, I've seen enough of that shit. I don't want to see it anymore.
Yeah.
So I like his philosophy of just jumping into the universe.
He expanded on that a little bit more too. Basically, he's talking about how like the origins of these iconic characters have just been overdone to death in movies. But he also said like, okay, well, what about people who aren't familiar with these characters? Maybe like somebody like Marvin isn't super familiar with Superman's origins. He is now because we made him watch the 78 Superman, but I'm sorry, the Donner Superman. And but like he said, he likened it to when he and everybody else who gets into comic books, how you're never starting from the beginning of a book, of a story. Like if Marvin were to start reading a Batman series, he's picking up in the middle of everything. He's getting thrown into an established Batman in Gotham with all his rogues and like these multiple storylines going on. You almost never are picking up from the beginning, and that's kind of his philosophy for the movie, that we're not seeing an origin of Superman. The world's already established. He's here. We're just jumping into the middle of it, which I think is cool, and it's a different approach. Because
even when comics do, you go ahead, Marvin.
You have to make the effort to go back and get the full beginning story if you care enough to do so.
Yeah.
I think that's okay.
I think it's a great approach.
Well, and even with the comics, they don't usually when they get another author and they start over with like a Spider-Man #1 or Ultimate Spider-Man #1 from a reboot from Spider-Man 686 or whatever they stopped at.
Yeah.
They're still not doing an origin story. It's just a new series within the universe, and he's already established generally.
Right. Yeah, and also, with the way like the MCU started, like the foundation of the MCU was on origins. You got Thor's origin, you got Cap's origin, you got Tony Stark's origin. It was just a series of origins. So this is kind of like every fucking movie in the MCU is an origin almost with each character's like entry point. So this is cool that this is going to be the case, and like, when we get to Batman, he's already established. It's cool. Like, I don't know. It's just a different way of doing it. I think it's going to be interesting. But all that said, next week, boys, we will be talking about Superman, and I can't wait. I hope you guys are excited. Mm-hmm. Marvin, you excited? You're probably not that excited, but
I am excited. I already got my tickets.
Big. That real IMAX experience, right?
Real, true IMAX.
Huge.
Yeah.
The only one in North Carolina, I believe.
Oh, you sought it out?
Yep. I think that website.
It's close, right?
Like
it's not too
crazy, far? No, it's in Raleigh. It's like 45 minutes.
Oh, it's not bad.
It's called Marbles IMAX.
Oh, you make like a nice little night or day of it. You going Thursday?
Well, maybe it's Thursday, so probably go and come back.
Oh, you're not going to go for dinner or nothing?
I mean, probably nothing crazy. Maybe.
Okay. And we'll
probably start getting spoilers tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I think the embargo breaks today or tomorrow.
Yeah, but that's because aren't they letting Prime members see it like today or tomorrow? The 8th?
Tomorrow's
the 8th.
Tomorrow's the Prime thing, but also the embargo lift. So there's going to be just a flood of stuff out there. I'm not going to try not to read anything.
Twitter.
July 8th. Oh yeah, tomorrow for Prime.
Yep.
At 7.
Yeah.
I don't think there was a theater near me doing the early screening.
When are you going, Dusty?
I'm going the morning of the 11th matinee.
Nice. Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
What are you most excited for, Dusty?
Just going to see it. It should be fun. I don't have any.
There's nothing in the movie you're looking to see, like.
I'm going in with no real expectations per se. I just want to enjoy the movie for what it is, and I'll see how I feel about it after I experience it.
Good. What were you gonna say, Marvin?
I don't quite remember, but what I'm most excited to see, I guess, just the movie in general. I'm very excited to see James Gunn's version of Superman.
Yeah.
Very excited to see my first IMAX movie ever.
You've never been to an IMAX before? Nope. Oh fuck! Never. Damn, this is a
real one. Apparently, the real one.
And this is a good way to do it.
Very good way to do it. Yeah,
that's exciting.
Yep.
Dude, I've seen some Christopher Nolan movies in like the true IMAX. You come out like your fucking hair's all fucking messed up. It's crazy.
I can't wait. If I'm ready for the sound, the quality of the screen, I'm excited.
I'm most excited from a more nerdy standpoint to see. Not to throw shade, but I think the general audience has been a little bit given skewed views of this character who's been around for 90 years. So I'm hoping that people are gonna see like the real Superman. Not to sound like an arrogant prick about it, but like I want them to see who he really is. Like I don't know if we talked about this. I talked to Ed about it. Shout out.
Shout out.
I think the movie's going to do well financially, and I think it's mostly going to get like praise because it's James Gunn and he just makes good movies. I don't think he's missed yet, really. But I think general audiences are going to be a little split on this movie because so many people out there who aren't like super comic book nerds or whatever, they have a very bad perception of him as a character because the darker aspects, like the darker tellings of Superman are so popular now. You had the Zack Snyder take, you have Injustice, which is very popular. You have fucking The Boys and their portrayal of what's his name? Homelander, who is a dark, what if Superman was evil? Like that's Homelander. You have Omni-Man from whatchamacallit, Unbreakable, not Unbreakable. The fuck is the name of that show? The cartoon. Invincible, yeah, thank you. And so like for the past like 10, 15 years, it's just been like dark Superman. What if Superman was bad? What if Superman was evil? Like, I just hope, and I think obviously from seeing the trailers, I think it's going to do that, but I think this is going to be a comic book on screen. Like, that's what I'm hoping for. And that people are like, oh, this is the guy. But I do think it's going to split general audiences, because a lot of people who are used to the darker stuff are going to be like, what the fuck is this? This is like campy and cartoony and silly. And like, that's what Superman is. It's like, it's who he is as a character. And nobody really knows that. There's a popular, can't remember which book it is, but there's a moment where Superman gets shot with a kryptonite bullet, and it's like going into his heart slowly, and he's dying, and Batman's trying to like operate to get it out, and Superman's like cracking jokes and stuff, and Batman's like, I wish you'd be more serious, and Superman's like, I wish you'd make more jokes. Like, that's just who he is as a character. Like, he's not this dead serious stoic fucking guy. He's like a goofball. That's what makes him who he is.
What the hell are we supposed to use, man? Harsh language?
Welcome back to the show. This is episode 137. We're talking about warfare later on in the episode. Speaking of sound design and seeing movies in theaters, I would have loved to see this movie in theaters. The sound design in this movie was crazy, but we'll talk about that later on. Welcome back to you guys. We took off for July 4th week. Hope everybody had a good, safe July 4th. What did you guys do? Did you guys get up to anything?
Had some ribs and stuff at the house, but didn't really make an effort to go see any fireworks. Didn't care to.
You, Dusty?
Yeah, I did. We were supposed to go across the street to the county fair, but the fireworks factory exploded, so they didn't get their fireworks delivery.
That's not funny, but how close? When you say across the street, how close is it to you?
Well, the county fairgrounds is just right down the road from me, but that's not where the factory is. They just hadn't got their order of fireworks from the factory yet, because they can't store them anywhere. So they were shipping stuff out, and the factory blew up. We thought about going to Tahoe. Yeah, we thought about going to Tahoe, and we decided not to. And apparently, the barge in Tahoe took some water damage from a storm and sank, so they had to cancel part of the show up there. We ended up just going to a friend's house and barbecuing and watching neighborhoods shoot off illegal fireworks. So
nice.
That was fun. Yeah,
I stayed home with the dogs and helped them deal with their massive anxiety. So that was fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, went and saw How to Train Your Dragon as well.
Oh yeah, how was it?
Last time we saw each other, it was good. It was good. Not as good as the original. But,
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, is this a live action, right? Like live action?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't seen
mostly. Oh, it's great. Great 3 movies. All 3 of them are really good. But yeah, it's a pretty good tribute to the first one. They made a couple little changes, but not much. Started watching Foundation with Christina because she hadn't seen it, and I hadn't. This is a show that came out. Season 1 was 2021. Season 2 was 2023. Season 3 is going to be 2025. So long productions in between this, but this is like an underrated. Like, if you guys love The Expanse, you would love this show.
Yes,
I don't know why
this is
you're
on
not
my
watching
list.
David S. Goyer co-created it though, so I don't know.
Well, it's David S. Goyer, but it's Isaac Asimov. His one of the better selling sci-fi books of all time. But rewatching season 1. We're on season 2 now. I'm just waiting for her to catch up, but season 3 starts in a few weeks. So
yeah, I saw that.
It's nice to catch up on this because this is so few far between.
I haven't been watching shows, but I have been watching since the last time we talked. I was in my adventure movie kick, and I watched Dial of Destiny. Well, now I'm going through and I'm watching all the OG Indiana Jones movies. I watched obviously Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is one of the greatest movies ever made. I watched Temple of Doom. And then tonight or tomorrow, I'm probably going to watch The Last Crusade. And then I'm going to rewatch the fucking Crystal Skull because I don't remember it. And I'm sure it's still bad, but it's funny actually going back and watching Raiders. I can't wait to make Marvin watch it eventually because I'm curious how he's going to take it. It's such like a weird movie by today's standards. Like it's funny, it's action, it's like sexist. Like he's so sexist as a character. It's funny in like all of them. But it's like they're so campy and silly and funny, and it's just that they're so great. I can't wait to go back. I mean, I can't wait to see Marvin's opinion on them, especially Temple of Doom. Temple of Doom is like a fucking cartoon at times. It's like still good, but
yeah,
it was rated PG when it came out.
Yeah, which is hilarious because there's some stuff in that one that's like, oh, okay. There's a lot of like gore and violence in Temple of Doom.
That's what made the MPAA go, well, we need something in between PG. I was just talking to my friends about this earlier. I was like, man, the things you watch in the 70s and the 80s PG movies will blow your mind.
Yeah, definitely.
So I watched Friendship, which we were going to cover last week.
Yeah.
I didn't. What did you guys think about Friendship?
I actually never ended up watching it.
Oh, wow.
Because I thought
it was good.
Well, the day we canceled, I was like, I had work stuff and I was just really tired. But normally I watch the movie like the day we record. I didn't get around to it.
Oh, right. Yeah. No, that's fair.
I still want to go back and watch it because I heard it was good. We can still cover it too. We just got to reschedule it. Is it worth talking about, you think? Or
not really. I actually thought
okay.
We could have covered both movies in one episode.
Really?
Like this that we watched.
I could see that
and then
because
that last one. Just not that they weren't good or it's just they weren't that deep. Like that's not I don't think it's gonna be that much. Whatever.
Yeah, I feel you.
But it was pretty good. I also binge watched all of The Bear season 4 last Sunday.
It's the new season, right?
Yeah, the newest season. They actually dropped them all at the same time, which is kind of rare these days. So that was cool. And it's on Hulu too, which is interesting.
Nice.
They usually kind of space them out. Oh, and I was just telling Dusty right before we hopped on that I watched all of Creature Commandos today.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it was good. Really good. Easy watch.
Great,
I think it's like the best intro you could probably ask for into the new DCU.
Yeah.
I think it's good because the episodes are really short, but it just kind of, I haven't watched some James Gunn stuff in such a long time, and it's good to get back familiar with his style.
Yeah, he has a very specific voice.
Yeah.
You still haven't watched it?
Superman. What?
Dusty?
No, I've seen it.
Oh, yeah.
I think I was the first one to watch it. Yeah.
He was, yeah.
No,
I like all the characters. My favorite is probably G.I. Robot.
Yeah, he was a big fan favorite, like right off the bat.
Alan. So funny.
James Gunn was actually surprised.
Just killing Nazis. It's so good.
James Gunn said he was surprised that G.I. Robot was the one. Because really, I think the emotional, each character has their own like emotional journey, obviously. Yes. But I think the one that he kind of thought was the one that was going to take off was Weasel.
I mean, Weasel was pretty tragic and sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I think James Gunn is like the best at making weird, non-human characters, giving them depth and stuff. Like
relatable, yeah.
It's funny because he was asked in an interview. I have been watching interviews with like the cast and stuff, and somebody asked him, like, they said, you're so good at taking these like off-kilter, like morally gray and ambiguous characters and giving them depth and giving them a moral journey. Was it difficult for you to write a character who doesn't have a moral journey, who is just good, always, never has that arc, which is what Zack Snyder tried to do. He tried to give Superman like, oh, like I want to have my own agency and maybe I don't want to be Superman. Maybe I just want to do my own thing. And that concept is fine, just not with Superman. That's not who he is. And that's the problem. And so it was interesting. James Gunn was like, he said, yeah, I did actually struggle a little bit, which is why he turned down the offer to do Superman back in 2018 when it was originally given to him. He didn't know how to really write it.
He was deep into, Yeah.
But good. I'm glad you like Creature Commandos. I thought it was a great show. I liked all the characters too. I liked, what's her name? Miss Frankenstein or whatever.
The Bride.
The Bride. She was really good. And I think she's going to play a big role going forward.
I mean, she's the leader of the group.
Yeah.
I was surprised that they were so eager to kill off these characters that they just
Yeah.
built off. I mean, you know, some of them come back, like G.I. Robot comes back, and I was glad for that. But Nina's dead as far as we know. Maybe she'll come back or something. Maybe not. I don't know.
She was real tragic too. Jeez. Yeah.
Yep.
No one had a good
Nobody.
story.
No.
Not a single person.
If
besides maybe G.I. Robot, just because
yeah,
you know, he gets to kill more Nazis. So
which is always great.
Yeah.
A good hero's tale is generally filled with a lot of tragedy.
Talking about Indiana Jones, there was I don't know, it's not really newsworthy for the segment news, but I did you see this report, Dusty, that apparently Disney is reportedly planning to reboot Indiana Jones. Full reboot of the franchise, yeah.
No, I did not see this.
I just hate that we have to constantly ask why. Like, why?
Harrison Ford is gonna be fucking like Frankenstein in this shit. They're gonna have to stitch him back together.
He probably won't even come back. I would imagine they recast him. There's actually a lot of funny jokes on here that, I mean, these are obviously woke. Get ready for it. Like, these are the recasts of Indiana Jones, Black Woman,
the AI.
Yeah, Chris Pratt.
What the fuck? Chris Pratt.
This one's funny.
Chris Pratt said he'd never do it.
I saw a really funny one that was Pedro Pascal as him, because if they do recast, like, Pedro would be the guy, because he's like,
that would be
he just gets cast at fucking everything. Of course. Oh, here it was. This was it. It was Pedro. It's fucking.
They might as well just.
This shit's fucking.
They might as well just put in what's the name from the other treasure movie we watched?
Oh God.
What's his name?
John Krasinski.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, this needs to just, I don't know. Because, so, not to spoil anything, but you probably never get to Crystal Skull, Marvin, but in Crystal Skull, we're introduced to his kid, played by Shia LaBeouf. And Shia LaBeouf was, at the time, I remember, was supposed to take the reins for the franchise, but I guess that never came into
before
fruition.
His alcohol and drug induced right? break. Yeah.
Oh, was it before that? Then that's why, I guess. But yeah, studios need to just stop, man. Like, enough already. We like, you can't have Indiana Jones without Harrison Ford, and you can't have a 90-year-old Harrison Ford playing Indiana Jones. Like, so just stop it. It's okay. Develop some new things. God.
Yeah, make a new character.
I'm so sick of
time though, Dan.
I'm so sick of saying it. It takes no time. It just takes effort. A little bit of effort. Not even a lot of effort. You know, it's funny too, because I was thinking about this last night when last night is when I watched Temple of Doom. And I was looking up the years. So Raiders of the Lost Ark came out in 1981.
Right.
Temple of Doom came out in 1984. Yep. And then Last Crusade came out in 1989, I believe.
Mm.
1989. And like, each of those movies is good. They're all very good. Raiders is obviously regarded as the best one for obvious reasons. My favorite one, no shame in my game, is The Last Crusade. I don't give a fuck how good
The
Raiders
Last Crusade, some would argue, is better than Raiders.
I love The Last Crusade. And
it's a great movie.
It's just crazy to me. I was thinking about, I was like, wow, this got 2 sequels in under 10 years. And they were all good. So, like, it's not a sequel problem, and it's not an originality problem. Good sequels and trilogies can be made. They've been made in the past. Now, maybe you could argue, well, Steven Spielberg is, you know, a different. He's above the grain or whatever. He's better than the rest, so that's why. But I don't think that's true. I think you could do it. You just have to have a little bit of effort. That's all, and stop. Like, it's like the 90-year-old sequels that are kind of a problem. We took a week off. We got a lot of news backed up. Let's get into the news. Folks, Dusty used to be a video game journalist, and now he's a journalist for us, and he brings us the best entertainment news each week. What do you got this week, Dusty?
So we were talking a little bit about James Gunn and his statements. So let's just get into the actual statements.
Controversial statements.
What he said was, I mean, Superman is the story of America, an immigrant that came from other places, populated the country, But for me, it is mostly the story that says basic human kindness is a value and is something we have lost.
So controversial.
So then he was asked if he considered differently the film might play as in, say, a blue state New York, aka Metropolis, and Kansas, where he grew up. He said, yes, it plays differently, but it's about human kindness. And obviously there will be jerks out there who are just not kind and will take it as offensive just because it's about kindness, but screw them. So he's basically saying, fuck the haters.
Good. As he should.
Yeah.
Fuck 'em.
I'm telling a story about a guy who's uniquely good, and that feels needed now because there is meanness, and that has emerged due to cultural figures being mean online. And you could say this all has to do with one particular individual, but you'd be wrong. He's not wrong in what he's saying. This is a societal problem that we're facing because of the internet and how we abuse it. We don't use it. We abuse it.
Right. And the problem is that the quote haters are gonna take these out of context and say, oh, well, he's just talking about Trump. That's the problem, which,
I mean, maybe he is and maybe he isn't, but again, Trump is not the problem. He is just a byproduct of the fucking problem.
He's a symptom of the problem. Yeah.
Yes,
for sure. I can't wait to start hearing the like Jesse Waters be like, did you know they changed the phrase for 80 years? The phrase was truth, justice, and the American way. And now it's truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. It's like, yeah, fuckface, because the American way was lost a long time ago. Like, how do you not understand these characters? There's always, I always see these like online debates about like, they're so stupid. It's like whether Captain America would be conservative or like libertarian or progressive or liberal or whatever. Like, it's such a stupid a lot of people are like, oh no, his name is Captain America, of course he's conservative. It's like, bozo, he stands for an America that is an ideal, not what we are in practice anymore. Like, how do you not understand that? And same as Superman and Captain America are nearly identical in terms of their like morality and their worldview and stuff, and it's just it's crazy. Like, literally pick a fucking a comic book writer too, and like listen to some interviews of them, and they'll all say the same thing. Like, these characters always are good and just, and the best comic book stories. Another reason I'm excited for Superman, and you see it briefly in the trailers and stuff of like civilians helping him up and stuff. It's like a big part of Superman, and it's a big part of the hero in general. I think is same in Spider-Man and Raimi's Spider-Man when that famous scene on the train where they all lift him up and they're like, don't worry about your identity. Like, a hero is strong not because of their strength on their own, but it's how they lift people up to be their better selves. And so that's what truth, justice, and the American way stands for. That's what America used to stand for. Like, it doesn't. It hasn't for a very long time. And I'm sorry that there are people out there that can't come to terms with that, but it's just the facts. Now, speaking of shows and reboots and things, Ryan Coogler recently came out again on a podcast talking about X-Files, his X-Files reboot. This one's going to set the world on fire. I can't wait. I'm a little hesitant for this, though. I'm a little bit nervous about it. But he said, I'm fired up to get back to it, and that, some of those episodes, if we do our job right, will be really fucking scary. That was him on a podcast. Last podcast on the left. Nobody knows what this is going to be. If Mulder and Scully what? The comments?
I was looking at the comments.
I don't want
two
this.
Comments.
Can't wait to see him recast the agents as black and have white villains in every episode. Yeah. I think Ryan Coogler is great. I think we all agree. We've glazed him quite a bit on here. But this is my baby, this show. This is like the thing that got me into fucking television and movies and like really shaped my life in a way, in a weird way. No, I'm trying not to be like really overblown about it, but it did.
Yeah.
Like, I used to watch, the whole reason I used to, like, I never really was into like movies and TV shows or anything like that until I watched the X-Files. It's like kind of like music. Like, you have that one thing that like really hooked you. And I used to stay up late at night. I've always been like a night owl. And at night they used to run reruns of the X-Files. And so I used to just watch the X-Files like at like 2, 3 in the morning. And then eventually I realized like, oh, well, they have these on box set now. Like, I can watch them in order. because on TV
Right.
you don't really know. They're not running them in any particular order. They just run random episodes. And then I really got into like the mythology of it, and I became like a huge X-Files fan. And then like that was a pretty young age, and then I started watching like, you know, more horror movies and like really exploring like the things that I've come to really love. But the X-Files was a launching pad for that.
Yeah.
So
I think that third comment, I see what they're saying there, but they could just be like confusing what he means as scary. Like scary doesn't have to be like The Grudge. Scary could be like the fucking government does some very shady, fucking scary shit that doesn't have to involve a fucking jump scare whatsoever. So if he leans into that, which X-Files does do that a lot, I think he's on the right track.
yeah, the comment in question, if his goal is to be scary, then he does not understand what the X-Files is all about. There's a lot of hate on here, calling him
The
pretentious.
next one is terrible. Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus. There's this one calling him pretentious and like all sorts of shit. This joke is very pervasive on the internet with Pedro Pascal and Zendaya. Like, okay. I just watched Sinners, hot garbage, a terrible ripoff of From Dusk Till Dawn. It had
All
3
check
different
mark
endings and they all
losers.
suck. Yeah.
Sorry.
They're probably not even real. They're probably like fucking people in fucking Pakistan, fucking data farms. Just like, no, those exist. They just have like millions of iPhones and they're just fucking tweeting
It's like,
away.
yeah.
They're engagement farms. It's the dead internet theory. It's real.
That's
it's true.
it. Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm excited for it. I'll watch it. I think it'll be good no matter what it is. But I don't know. I don't know. We call it the X-Files without Mulder and Scully. That's where I'm really at that stage in my life where I'm just like, fuck. Like,
and it does seem like he's gonna be rebooting, as we know it. So like redoing some episodes or something. Like that's what it seems like from this quote.
I don't think they're redoing episodes. I think they're just redoing the series. Like same thing. X-Files, because the
The same
X-Files is
premise.
just like a division in the FBI that Mulder was like dumped into. And she was sent to like watch over him because he's bad. It doesn't.
So
listen.
reboot, not remake, reboot.
Yeah, just like starting the series fresh with new characters and stuff and a new story. But maybe he'll choose to just do like Monster of the Week episodes with no overarching mythology stuff. That
That would be
cool.
the easy route for sure, and that would be cool. Yeah,
And to be fair, there are some episodes of the X-Files that
that'd be
are
the safest.
right. There are episodes of the X-Files that are genuinely scary, like just to point out. But
especially, I'm just thinking if I watched some of this stuff back then, like it's different now. Like it holds up very well, but even just thinking about watching stuff back then in the 90s when this was airing, it's like, bro.
Totally. Yeah.
I forgot the one episode, the guy crawling through the
vents and shit.
The vents and shit. I forgot his name. He had a crazy ass name, but
he comes back. Spoilers.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yep. Unless he comes back again, then I haven't seen that. But
yeah.
I think they actually killed him when he came back again.
While we're on the topic of Ryan Coogler, this was also said, which I thought was hilarious. Dusty, you bring up Blade quite a bit, and we've been keeping up with the non-production or the production woes of Blade.
Yeah.
But apparently, Ryan Coogler said a lot of the costumes worn by the extras in Sinners were originally made for Marvel's Blade film. Blade was originally going to take place in the past, and Marvel sold all the costumes to the Sinners production team. And that's from
dude, that would have been so good.
That's from Screen Crush News. So that's kind of
Blade
funny.
in the fucking past. That would have been really good. I would like to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw something about that. Somebody asked Mahershala Ali about the movie, and his response was, "Don't bring me into it."
Yeah.
I think.
What else you got for us, Dusty?
Some of the big news of the last 2 weeks: Denis Villeneuve directing the next James Bond film.
Now,
Dusty was hyped for this.
He was.
It was reported. Edward Berger, Edgar Wright, Jonathan Nolan, and Paul King, all famous British directors, were high on the list of candidates. Denis got the job. Then we know MGM acquired the rights back in February, so it was going to be a big deal who was going to get the job, and now we know. But when are we going to see it? Who knows? He's currently on his third and final Dune film for Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Shooting this summer, slated for release in 2026. but he's also been working on franchises, and he's been working on that franchise since 2017. So I'm sure he'll be happy to move on. But he's some other projects that he's been labeled with in development: Cleopatra, and then an adaptation of Arthur C. Clarke's sci-fi novel Rendezvous with Rama, nuclear war scenario, and another nonfiction movie. But when we're going to get a Bond, don't know. But on that, insiders say that the studio and producers are interested in casting a British actor under the age of 30, with Jacob Elordi and Tom Holland and Harris Dickinson being the top of the list.
Hate all these fucking choices, by the way.
Elordi is Australian, but that would not be a deal breaker according to Amazon.
Let me tell you something.
Sources say
Tom Holland would be the literal worst choice for James Bond. Doesn't have it. Doesn't have the swag.
Nope.
Doesn't have the build. Doesn't have any of it. If anybody, Jason Elordi, out of these three, I could see, because he's got I don't know, he's got the swag a little bit. But we're in dangerous water.
Though.
Yeah. Well, here's the problem. We're gonna get some fucking Gen Z, like,
that would make me fucking anti.
Gender fluid fucking James Bond thing. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Gender fluid. Nah.
Well, I mean, Sean Connery
I didn't mean to throw,
was
like,
iconoclastic.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Sean Connery was like comic book iconoclastic of the time when he played the character. And then you got the dark and brooding from Daniel Craig, which was totally different from even what Pierce Brosnan gave us the previous movie before that. So,
well,
I don't know.
That's the thing about Bond, is that it's always different. But like, his portrayal is always a little bit different based on the actor playing him. Although Daniel Craig was the most stark transition, because they chose to make it a more darker and brooding and more like sort of like in your face type of Bond. Pierce Brosnan's my favorite Bond. I don't care what anybody says.
He did good.
I don't think Denis is a good choice to direct a Bond movie. I said that to you guys in our Discord chat. I just don't like, he's one of the greatest working filmmakers there is. I just don't think that's the right fit for him, to be honest.
Well, apparently everybody was shocked, and they let all these guys pitch. So, I mean, Edgar Wright pitched them, and they liked Denis' pitch better. So,
yeah, I mean, that's
I have
fair.
a little faith in that. But I guess they also wanted Christopher Nolan early on, but the family was against it. There was like a rule or something. I don't know. Maybe a non-British director or something.
They want fucking Nolan for everything.
Yeah. But Puck's Matt Maloney is reporting that Denis won't have final cut on the film and isn't locked in for any sequel spinoffs or streaming offshoots. This is being described as a one-off affair. I
think Denis is too good of a filmmaker for this type of a thing, because it's going to be corporatized. Like, he's gonna have to do corporate things, and he's not going to really have a lot of agency. I also don't think that he's the type of filmmaker that demands agency. Like, if Christopher Nolan came in, whoop, we lost Dusty. He's gone. It's over. He's back.
Oh,
can you hear us?
Yep.
Okay. I was saying, I don't think Denis is the type of filmmaker that's going to be able to demand like his own decision making and agency over the project. Whereas if Christopher Nolan came in, Christopher Nolan's gonna be like, "Hey, I'm Christopher Nolan. I'm making the movie that I want to make, or you guys could go fuck yourselves." Denis not going to do that. So he's going to just make the movie that he's going to do a lot of things that Amazon wants, and it might become sloppy, when he could easily just go out and make something original and it'd be like a 10 out of 10 banger. And I definitely don't like any of these actors. That's going to be the thing that,
not as
like,
Bond.
No, that's going to be.
They're all right actors, but not.
Oh, totally.
Not
what do you guys want to see as Bond then?
I mean, my number one
What's
choice
the age
has always been Clive Owen, but he's been like super opposed to doing it his whole career.
He's like 60 or 70 now.
I would not mind Henry Cavill. Maybe he's a little too big. I don't know.
Yeah, he's a good age.
Cavill could do it.
42.
Yeah, they want younger because they're going to keep him around, it seems.
Like, I think what's his name? Tom Hiddleston could do a good job. I've seen that being thrown around.
Yeah, Hiddleston would be great.
Hiddleston.
I would still love to see
old.
Idris, but that's never going to happen. Some people are
What
saying
about Oscar Isaac? Would he be a good Bond?
Him and
Why?
is it him and John Cena in a movie just came out on streaming? Heads of State.
Yeah, which is supposedly really bad. I could see Aaron Taylor Johnson being a good Bond. In this article here, they're talking about that. I could also
see a trend here.
I could also white.
Yeah,
I said Idris. So don't pin that shit on me. I could also see this dude. I can't remember his name. Theo James, I think is his name. Yeah. Theo James. This is my boy right here. He's my top pick.
Yeah,
Bond.
he's a good actor.
He's my top pick. He's got the looks. He's got the age, I think. He's right in the right age range.
We got to see what he looks like clean shaven, though.
Yeah, he could be good.
Bond's always clean shaven, it looks like.
But yeah, anyway, that's my take on Bond. I don't know.
The Punisher special details have emerged. Daredevil Born Again Season 2 shoot, which is expected to wrap in the next few weeks with filming, which will allow time for the special to begin filming shortly after. Mid-July, I think through the first week of August, they're going to be filming the Daredevil or the Punisher special. And Ronaldo, Marcus Green, and Bernthal are writing the special, and Green is set to direct. So yeah. It's the third Disney special.
Okay.
And the fourth appearance for Bernthal in the MCU. It's coming out 2026 in Phase 6 on Disney Plus.
I'm hyped. I am hyped. Yeah, Phase 5 just ended officially.
There's some details in there about the storyline, but I don't really want to leak them because we haven't really finished season 2 of like who the bad guy, the boss might be. Ma Nucci, I think, is the villain.
Really? That's my hope. I was hoping that. Oh my God. I'm getting what I want. This is crazy. This never happened. He's also going to be in Spider-Man. Apparently they've taken out fucking Hulk. Again.
We'll see.
Also, speaking of Marvel, there was big news that went out. And Comics Explained, he's like a big comic book content creator. He said...
love his YouTube channel. Shout out to him. Yeah,
he said he thinks Sony is planning to sell Spider-Man to Disney. Because the contract that specified 3 to 5 years, beyond the Spider-Verse movie, the third in the Spider-Verse franchise, is on hold indefinitely. And then now, My Time to Shine reported that Sony has canceled all of its planned live-action Spider-Man spinoffs.
Damn.
So,
interesting.
Another thing that I'm getting, what I want, Sony, done making Spider-Man content. Which they've previously shown no interest in stopping. So if they're stopping, and it could be a potential sign of like, all right, fine, we'll just sell off everything to Disney. Like Disney's got the money to buy it. So it's like,
yeah.
So that could be really cool. That could be really cool. But I'm excited for this Punisher stuff. I'm glad Phase 5 is over. Fantastic Four is going to be the kickoff of Phase 6. Hopefully this puts to bed like the multiverse shit. It's not going to be ended just yet. We got to wait for Doomsday for that, I'm assuming. But maybe things start heading in a better direction here.
All right. Well, speaking of Ronaldo, Marcus Green.
Yep.
Will Poulter was on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast, and he revealed his exuberant nature towards working with fellow actors and producers and directors. He says, I'm completely shameless. I will beg for roles in things from people that I love. I've got fanboy energy and I can't hide it. There are people that I'm desperate to work with and I can't contain it.
Nice.
Says Will Poulter. He lists Steve McQueen and Adam McKay as idols, Lynn Ramsey and fellow British actor or director Andrea Arnold as people he'd love to work with. But while he did mention Scorsese or Spielberg, he did call out Ronaldo, Marcus Green, who's doing the Punisher thing. So
okay,
I thought that was cool. But there's nobody in the list that he didn't mark anybody off the list for this next movie, I don't think. But it is the one we're here to talk about. So
cool.
That's all the news I have.
All right. Thanks for the news, Dusty, as usual. Let's get into today's movie review. We watched Warfare, which is something that was a movie was getting kind of hyped like a few months back. When did it come out? It came out in it came out this year, but it's been out for a couple months. Yeah, but it was getting pretty wide praise. Another Alex Garland film, and he's a destroyer. But the title pretty much says alone what it's about. And I've been pretty vocal here on the podcast that I'm kind of like over war movies. I've never really liked war movies all that much to begin with. There are, of course, some that I do love. You know, some of the standard fare like Saving Private Ryan and Black Hawk Down and Tears of the Sun or some, just off the top of my head. But most war movies are either nationalistic, they are like kind of glorified action reels, or just vehicles for like American exceptionalism a lot of the time. Warfare strips all that away. It doesn't care about making you feel proud, or it kind of wants you to feel uncomfortable. So, in my opinion, this isn't your typical war movie. And so let's get into why it's not just another war movie. It's something else entirely. This was co-directed by Alex Garland and Ray Mendoza. Ray Mendoza is a former Navy SEAL who his real life experience from Iraq during the Iraq War in the 2000s. In 2006, this takes place. That forms the backbone of the story. And Warfare drops you sort of headfirst like into the chaos of this mission that kind of goes sideways in Iraq. There's no backstories for characters. There's no emotional flashbacks. There's really nothing like any of that. You're just in the dirt with these guys. You're hearing gunfire, the cracks of, distant fire coming at these guys. You hear like the ragged breathing, the frantic comms, and like you kind of just feel like you're there with them. And I think that's what the movie was meant to be, of just, you're just there, like with these guys. Not you're watching it, you're there, you're with it. And I mentioned earlier, I wish I could have seen this in theaters because the sound design really fucking sells that. It's crazy. But yeah, real war. And as this movie reminds us, it's not about like medals and glory. It's like guts and harrowing sense of hopelessness. But Dusty, I think you're pretty, out of the three of us, like the biggest fan of war movies. So why don't you start first? What'd you think of this one?
I thought it was good. I didn't think it was great. This is I don't feel like there's anything unique about this war movie except that it is told strictly through the stories of the people that lived through it. So that's fascinating in that it hasn't been Hollywoodized per se, but at its foundation, it's really, like you said, it's just about being there in what happened and the chaos of it. And it tells a great story, but it doesn't really do a whole lot for me in the way of war movies and what you want from a war movie. I think it was great in what it did, but if you've seen 100 more war movies, it feels like somebody's tried to show this at one point or another in a war movie. Just maybe not the whole movie in its entirety. I don't know if that makes sense, but
yeah, no, it does.
So while it was good, nothing was like you said, the sound was amazing and the acting was great, but like the story itself is just, it's like, okay, we're here and we're going through this. Jarhead had that feel a little bit. Some of those
Jarhead is a
types
fantastic
of movies,
movie, yeah. But Jarhead has more character. It has character building.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what, I like it a little bit I like a little more storytelling in a war movie than just like the essence of it, because that gets a little like, we're getting tired of watching John Wick movies, even because it's pistol action for 50 minutes and it's 20 minutes of character building. You know what I'm saying?
Gun fu, yeah.
Yes. So, well, I think it's a great movie and I liked it. No, sorry, good movie, not a great movie.
Okay.
And as far as that goes, that's how I felt about him.
Just to bridge off of that before we go into Marvin, what comes to mind for me about when you hear a war movie, right? It's like you get like the heroic character arcs, you get like emotional speeches, usually the American victory tropes, swelling music, slow motion, death scenes, like shit like that. And for me, that structure just doesn't work anymore. Like I'm over it. Like I think in modern day, since all of us have witnessed a 20-year war and now like a fucking active genocide and more war and more war, it's like, it's harder and harder to again, not to be political, but it gets harder and harder to be like, well, America's the good guys. And so when a movie, when war movies always propagandize and are always about like, well, America's the good guys, it's just so difficult for me to even like watch something like that. Like I'm thinking like Lone Survivor, 13 Hours, like those movies that really fucking show America as like the virtuous arbiters of good. Because we just aren't, and that's something again people have to like deal with. It's just the facts, right? But one like this movie doesn't give you any like opinion really. I think there was also another thing during like the 2000s, like since the war on terror has been going on, I think a lot of movies have been used almost as like a recruitment tool for the military.
Yeah.
I don't even mean that to be funny. I think like that was like really like an effort on the part of it, whether it be our government or probably, I mean, obviously the government, but like a lot of movies like just glorify what it means to be in the military. And I just don't really buy any of that. And this isn't about that. This is just about the raw, unfiltered aspect of what war is, of what it's like to be there. I guess is kind of how I felt. But what about you, Marvin? What did you like about this, or what did you like about it?
Oh yeah, so I haven't seen a lot of war movies, but I thought it was pretty good. I don't really have a good frame of reference to say if it brought anything new to the genre, but overall, I definitely enjoyed it. I like the localized point of view where it was like showing how something that looks so simple can quickly just turn into a disaster. Simple things like how they're fighting for air support and like you can't just simply get out of Dodge when things get sketchy.
Right.
I thought the progression was pretty good. Like the way it ramped up was pretty good. Showing like how the captain kind of just fell all apart when, you know, the team needed him to kind of stay together the most. He kind of just lost it. I thought it was good though. Honestly, I thought it was pretty good.
Good. When you mentioned like what it brings to the genre, I don't think it brings anything in. I think it takes things away, and that's kind of what I thought it worked about it.
Oh, right. I get that. Yeah.
I guess in a sense it is bringing something new to the genre in that it's not doing the typical like narrative stuff of a movie would normally do. I've seen some reviews of people talking about how like they didn't like it because of that. There was no real conclusion to the character development. There was no character development. There was no music. There's no story. There's really nothing. It's just these guys in a skirmish from start to finish is kind of like what it kind of boils down to. I think that's a good, like, most adults know it's
about
raw.
The Iraq war, and like there still really hasn't been a resolution, really. Like it was a never-ending war, and it's like still ongoing. So it's like, to me, it was kind of perfect that it was like no conclusion, because there hasn't been a conclusion even in real life. So
I mean, there has been a conclusion to the Iraq war specifically, but just war in general in the Middle East.
Oh, kind of, I guess, yeah.
It's just we're going to have a different type of war, but I understand exactly what you're saying. But this, like, go ahead, Dusty.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think this movie exemplifies really well how like seconds could feel like minutes can feel like hours.
Yeah.
Like especially in a wartime scenario, because they're all just sitting around and they're bored, and then shit starts popping off, and then it's crazy. And you see how some of them react to the situation they're in, and how some of them don't react, and you know how some of them are getting fucked up. But you're sitting there and you're watching this guy scream for like 5 minutes straight, and you're like, okay, he's done screaming. And then the other guy wakes up, and then he's screaming for like 5. You're like, all right, we're doing this.
It's very visceral.
The agonizing length of it is, I think, it's a little grating when you're watching a movie like that, but I think it's supposed to be. So
I saw a funny review on Rotten Tomatoes when I was looking through them. Somebody said I wanted it to end, and I didn't. I don't mean that as a bad thing.
Right.
Which means it really like delivered on what it was trying to do, of just that visceral, like, this is what war is. And in a way, it's kind of like, given that Alex Garland co-directed it, it's kind of what like Civil War was. And I think a lot of people expected Civil War to be this thing that it, like, everybody criticized Civil War because it wasn't the thing that they wanted it or expected it to be, which was everybody wanted it to have an opinion. Everybody wanted the Civil War to be a reflection of our current state in the United States of like right versus left, fucking whatever the fuck.
Oh yeah, my side's gonna be the good side in that movie. I just know it.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted Civil War to have a message. And some people, I think, wanted this movie to have that pro-war message or an anti-war message, but it doesn't. And so it's kind of feels very similar to Civil War in that sense, where it's just a movie about a thing and like about a group of people that you don't really need to know that much about other than this exact thing that they're experiencing. We don't need to know that like the sniper has a wife at home who's pregnant and why he can't get back to her and send a letter home to my kids. Like that's the very typical thing in this genre. I
mean,
it's realism without a message, basically.
Yeah, I mean, there is a message though. If you have a brain, I feel like.
What do you think it is? Like,
clearly sympathize with the people that are getting their home invaded, their whole life uprooted, their neighborhood destroyed.
Yep.
Like, if you don't sympathize with those people, I don't really understand how that's possible.
I actually think I agree with you. I think the movie one of the only weaknesses of this movie for me is that I think the movie did a little bit too much focus on like the suffering of the American soldiers.
Right.
You are an empathetic human being with a brain. So you are naturally being like, oh, I feel sorry for the people whose homes are being invaded and uprooted and all this stuff. But the movie doesn't really show that in any specific way because the central focus is on these soldiers.
Yeah.
It was my only real
or the use of the local police or military that they used as bullet shields.
And how expendable
like, you guys
they were.
Go out first. Yeah.
And they're like,
that
what
was
the fuck?
terrible.
Like, what the fuck? They're sending us out to die, basically?
They want us to go. Yeah. I think they showed it enough. I mean, I don't know how much they could have showed it more without giving like too much story of like, oh my God, these people have lives too. Like we know, like as a human being, you should know that these people have,
of course,
a life. The kids are right there with them, so it's like,
yeah.
And then at the end, when they show like they just leave all the waste and destruction, and the limbs and blood and everything's destroyed, it's like,
yeah.
I think he showed enough.
Okay. The movie had a excellent cast, I think. Most notably, D. Farrow Wunatai is his name. He played Ray. You got Cosmo Jarvis, who played Elliot.
The comms guy.
And Will Poulter. I think they all bring like a really haunting like realism to the roles. You're not really like watching. This is what I said earlier. You're not really watching them. I felt like you're kind of just enduring the thing alongside them. It felt like. So I think that's really what elevates.
Felt like you were in the squad with them.
Yeah, it's what I think really elevated warfare into something more than just a movie. It almost feels more like an experience in a way. Brutal, just like I think very well made and pretty, emotionally devastating. Honestly, I asked Owen, who we've had on the show. He was in Iraq in the Marines. I asked him if he watched this. He was like, "No, should I?" I was like, "Honestly, it was a good movie, but I don't know. I don't know if you should watch it. Like, it might give you PTSD." Like, I was dead serious. Like, I could see this movie having that type of an effect on a person who experienced it more than other like war movies. But
then also the guy that it was based on was like on set and like reliving the shit. So maybe not. Maybe it wouldn't.
Everybody.
Maybe it depends on who you the person type of person you are. I guess.
I think a lot of people who lived this were there, like helping the production and like really making the movie alongside them. But it's super slow and quiet at the start, and then there's like this eruption of chaos and gunfire without any kind of buildup, and that's kind of typical of Alex Garland movies in a way. But hands down, the best aspect of this for me was the sound design. Very, very immersive experience, even watching it at home. Again, there's that criticism of the movie that there's not really any story or plot or character arcs, but when it ends, you're right. There is it's pretty apparent that the Iraqis and the American soldiers are both left with like a trauma, when like everything suddenly stops and the violence ends or whatever. I'm hoping that because of this movie, the days of entertainment based war films are kind of over, because more movies I think should be like this, that make people think about the more nitty gritty details and sort of what soldiers and civilians are left to deal with.
Right.
Um,
Even in like non-factor, like we don't even know why they were there, but
yeah,
it just shows you how real it gets, even if it's not like, oh man, we're saving the president. It's like, no, these guys are just posted up doing God knows what, but it's just everything gets fucking destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
People die, people lose legs.
Yeah.
It's like, shit is terrible.
And I could totally understand the criticisms of it not having like traditional elements of a film or story, and totally understand that. I don't think the movie is strong. Like I think this movie is really, really good. From a filmmaking perspective, I would kind of call it a masterpiece, if I'm being honest. Like cinematography, sound design, all that stuff. I think it's like really, really well done. And I think maybe years later it'll be more appreciated. It is very, I mean, it's getting a lot of great reviews and stuff, but I think maybe like a couple years from now, maybe people will be like, oh, that movie was fucking something else.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't need like, to me, I don't know. It doesn't need every person, like you said, doesn't have to have a backstory. Like he has, it's just be implied that he has family.
Of course, exactly.
He's a human being. Like,
right, exactly.
You don't need to see that.
Right.
Like, if you just think about it, you don't have to like.
Yeah, and that's what I really like.
Into your feels, like you know, like
you watch a movie like American Sniper, one of the most propaganda-driven movies I think I've ever seen, of this guy Chris Kyle, who is like notably a piece of shit from like most people who have been around him, but he's portrayed as this fucking hero, and like he was a hero, and like he has a wife, and he does this and he does that, and he was tragically killed by somebody who was obsessed with him at the shooting range. Like, I don't give a fuck about that guy or any of that stuff. Like, this is a human story, I think, to me. Like you're saying, it's not about the Iraq war. It's not about why we were there. It's not about jihadists that we're fighting. It's not about really any of that stuff. It's purely about human beings and how all human life, or all life in general, is affected by this type of bullshit. So for that reason, I do think it was really, really good, because, you know, at the end of the day, any loss of life in war is a failure. It's a failure of diplomacy. It's a failure of leadership. It's a failure of humanity. And the movie doesn't really shy away from that truth, in my opinion. It kind of holds you and just is like, look at what we do to each other. Like, this is fucking nonsense. That's kind of my takeaway. Any other things you wanted to say, Dusty?
No. That's pretty good coverage. Like I said, it's a good war movie. It's not. I don't know how many of these I could sit down and watch one after the other. I mean, I don't know if I feel like, you know, if they made 10 more of these and they were all equally the same. Yeah, but that's like Dan saying that, well, I hope that we go away from this and more to this, is I think there's a good place for traditional war movies where somebody, you know, you want to root for the hero and against the villain, whereas in this is more of a practical, like, this is what warfare is. This is the reality of warfare. It fucking sucks. Mm-hmm. I get that. But if every war movie was like this,
then they're all the same.
Movies would go the way of the dodo, I think.
I could understand that. I guess what I meant more when I said that is like, not exactly like this. This kind of just felt like documentary footage almost. But like, I mean more of like the non-propagandized, like American exceptionalism bullshit.
Yeah, no, I get, sure.
Marvin, any last things you want to say?
As far as going away from this type of, like, the normal war movies versus this.
Yep.
After seeing this, I would be okay with not seeing any war movies ever again.
Yeah,
just because
I kind of agree.
Like, it's enough. Enough is enough. I mean, enough wars in real life is enough too. Like, let's get away from wars.
Yeah.
In 2025, how about that?
That's why it's hard to even classify it as a movie. It's more of just like an experience type of thing, almost like it almost just feels like I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. I thought it was really well made. I thought it was really well done. I don't really have anything negative to say about it. Like the lack of story and the lack of traditional, like, movie structure didn't really bother me in any way. I don't think it has a lot of rewatchability, partially because of what you just said, but also because like how many times could you really watch this and be like, wow, I didn't enjoy this movie, but you're not supposed to, I don't think. Like that's the whole, it's weird. It's like antithetical to like what a movie should be. But I think that's why I liked it. I won't say I enjoyed it. I did not enjoy it at all, but I as a movie, like as a piece of art, like I thought it was a masterpiece. It did.
It's very uncomforting. Which the Friendship movie did fairly well. I
gotta watch that. But yeah, this did the thing that I think it wanted to do, and I think it did it really well. So very unforgettable, I think, for that reason. I would have loved to see it in the theater. I got to repeat that because the sound design alone, is very, very immersive. It doesn't really, the movie again just doesn't show you war. It like makes you feel it and really feel it.
I think, like just going back to not having a story thing, I don't think it had like that normal type of story feel, but I think it did a good job of telling the story without having a story. Absolutely. If that makes sense. Like even all the little things that were happening, like the tank gets blown up and they're requesting backup and they're like, yeah, we're kind of like not really wanting to send backup because they blew up the fucking tank. So you guys are kind of fucked for a little while. And it's like that little moment. It's like, oh, fuck, what are these guys going to do now? And then when you figure out that like, oh shit, they're not even extracting everyone. The goal was just to extract the hurt guy and then go back into the fucking house. It's like, dude, what the fuck? This is fucked.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot that you could surmise just from like what's going on, context clues, having a brain, being a human being, like, and that's what I like about it. I like a lot when movies and stories in general don't like handhold and they treat their audience with respect. You don't need 10 minutes of exposition at the beginning of a movie of like, we got to touch down.
Well, the acting tells you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you see that there's a couple of them that are getting and giving the reports and they're starting to, with their own actions, act a little bit more alert and nervous because they feel like something's about to pop off and go down. Yeah. But that doesn't filter through the whole unit because not everybody's paying attention. Right. So it doesn't need to be said with exposition. You're absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was a shock to me when it actually popped off, just because I was like, these guys they're just random guys kind of doing random things. Like, it looks like they're going into a shop or something. But like, it turns out they were actually like getting ready to fight back. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah. And
it kind of was a shock to me because it was kind of normal what they were doing.
Yeah. And you don't need to like, have that like 20 minutes of exposition in the beginning of a movie or whatever, where it's like, like I was just joking, like we got to touch down in so-and-so Iraq and like it's just, you don't need any of that stuff. Like Black Hawk Down is one of my favorite movies just in general. I think it does some of the things that I don't like about war movies, but it minimally, and it has a lot of character backstory and stuff like that, but it does it in a better way than I think a lot of other war movies do it, because that movie becomes about like the people you're with, and that's like the central theme of like brothership or brotherhood and like partnership, and like when you're in war, like nothing else matters other than the person next to you. I think that's like one of the exact lines of dialogue from the movie. Eric Bana's character, he's like, at the end of the day, it's just about the person next to you and like you guys leaning on each other. So that's what I really, really liked about this. And that's to revisit what you said, Dusty, about my hope war movies go in this direction. Not necessarily like the visceral nature of this that doesn't really tell you anything, more so the fact of like a movie that doesn't give you sides to pick. It's just a depiction of like I don't know. I think we're at a point in history and society. We could all agree like war is unnecessary and bad. And so you don't need to depict why the soldiers are there or if they even agree with being there. Just that they chose to do a thing and like they are tools of whatever government has them doing this thing. And I think that's
right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so I loved it. It's got a 7.2 on IMDb, mostly positive reviews. I'm gonna bump that up. I would give it a 9. I'm not giving it a 10 because there's no rewatchability for me, but I would give it a 9. I think it was mostly pretty perfect.
Yeah. I think even though it doesn't have any rewatchability, the feelings it evoked and the way it left me feeling after just finishing it, I'll probably give this a 10.
Okay, great. Big numbers. What do you got, Dusty?
Mm-hmm. I think the IMDb trolls got it pretty much right on this one. I feel like this is a 7 from me.
7's a good rating, though.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, because 9 is the highest I'll get, so it's still up there. Like I said, it's a good movie, but
yeah. No, I feel you. You're more of a traditionalist with the war movies. I get it. And sometimes those things are good. Like, I wouldn't want to see a World War II movie like this, to be honest, because like World War II was one of the few times in history, perhaps the only time in history, not history, but, you know, mostly American history, where like that was like a genuine fight of good versus evil. Like there is a story to tell there of the good guys versus the bad guys. Like, so there is room for that. I just think in the modern era of America and the modern era of movies, that propagandized version of these types of things is just, I think it's over and done with. And I don't think anybody really even is interested in seeing stuff like that anymore. So, because most of, I feel like our society, with the amount of information we have access to and stuff, like most people are woke, for lack of a better word. We've woken up to the fact that like war is just a fucking chess game from billionaires and investment firms and fucking corporations to just make a buck.
The state.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's all about the state.
Yeah. So great movie. Check it out, folks, if you haven't done so already, but check it out with a warning. There's a warning tag on there. This is a rough movie to watch. It's not fun and it's not enjoyable. But I think definitely worth a watch for sure. Blast your TV when you watch it because the sound design is really, really good. But there's our thoughts on Warfare. If you've seen it, leave a comment down below. Let us know what you thought. Leave a like on the video, leave a comment, do all that great shit. It helps with the algorithm and all that good stuff. If you're new to the channel and you enjoyed the conversation, consider subscribing. We are on our way to 800 subscribers. It's not much, but it's something, and we appreciate everybody who has
thank you all.
subbed along the way. Next week, we will be finally covering Superman, my most hyped movie of the year so far. Probably won't be dethroned. If you'd like to hear our thoughts on that, check back with us next week. If you want to watch along with us and you want to know what movies we're going to be watching, we post our schedule pretty well in advance at the start of the month over on our Discord. It's free to join. You can find a link down below to our website, harshlanguage.tv, where all of our links live. So feel free to join that. But otherwise, we appreciate you joining us this week. We'll catch you next time. Catch you then.
See you.
Basta.